Casting stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in, everybody, on this Tuesday, December the 21st. Jay Morgan. We have a distinction this morning. I just found out from our production director, Big Zeke. Do you know what just happened?
I have no idea what just happened.
We are the very first winter show of the year.
Is that right?
The very beginning of winter occurred at 9:59. That's 4 minutes ago. So we're the first winter show. Yeah, I love it when we make a little history.
A true honor.
How about that? Jaws back. So he fights through COVID protocol. He fights through his knee injury. He comes back. They don't execute a darn at the end. He actually turned the ball over on an inbound when they still had a slight chance to win the game, and the Grizzlies fall for the second game in a row. And when the Grizzlies were blowing an early lead, because they did have an early lead, 16-point lead, they actually held OKC to 16 points in the first half. It looked to me like it was going to be another 70-point blowout like the last time they played OKC. Steven Adams had 12 rebounds in the first quarter. In the first quarter, he had 12 rebounds. That's incredible. And then it was back and forth, and they just, honestly, they did not execute any offense in the last 2 minutes, and that is what cost them the game. So they've lost two in a row. Here's the crazy thing that occurred. I mean, crazy, seriously. Fans, and I think he said fans in the postgame, hurt his feelings. He said, normally when I read something negative or hear something negative, I turn that into motivation. But for fans to say you need to go out of the game, sit back, sit down, whatever they said, I don't know how many there were, but for them to say that, it really hurt his feelings. It bothered him. What's he to do, is what he said. How's that going to make it any better when he's just come back? Frankly, he scored, I believe it was 16 points, and 6 of 12 shooting.
8 assists.
8 assists. That's his first game in a month. I don't understand what those people were saying. But I will say this. Certainly, you have to have Ja and build around Ja. I am not ever going to dispute that. He is, as Desmond Bain eloquently said after Ja had spoken, that all this stuff about trade him or send him, that's nonsense. And it is. It is nonsense. I hope, and we spoke with Pete Pranica about this, that Ja becomes motivated to become a better defensive player. But if you're Taylor Jenkins now, and you've seen what the other guys can do and how much better you are defensively, maybe, especially as you get your legs underneath you if you're John Morant, maybe you play him just a few less minutes. Maybe if you've got big leads, you start to think more about defensive substitutions and not have him in there as much. That's fair, I think. So, but if you're going to be a great team, Ja's got to be the star. And I think he will be. But I do think you see what your team can do when he's not out on the floor, and depending on situations, maybe you think more defensive substitutions until he becomes a better player on defense. And he should be a better player, because if you can blow by people, you can stay in front of people. And you're not a little tiny guy. You're 6'2", 6'3", legit.
I totally agree. It's not necessarily a criticism of Ja to say that he needs to be supplemented by another player whose strengths are his weaknesses. You know, I think DeAnthony Melton is a good reason. I know he plays a little bit different position. He doesn't play a true point guard all the time,
but
he shoots the ball pretty well, and he defends really well. It's a great supplement for a guy like Ja. And like you're saying, play a few less minutes if you need to get stops. You get him for a minute. But Ja's also a guy that wins you basketball games. Late in the game, he makes shots down the stretch, and you have to value that as well.
Or passes.
Or passes, exactly right.
No, I am saying defensive substitutions here, not offense.
Right.
And he's the show on offense. I mean, he comes back, that one pass he had to Tillman, I think, that was like a quarter court pass up ahead with a bounce. I mean, that's the thing of beauty. That's the artistic side of Ja that not many people possess. And that is really kind of what makes him special. But I don't understand. I think you said it best. Those fans had to be drunk.
Yeah,
right?
Someone had a few drinks last night. Had to be.
That really wasn't very good. Week 15 of the National Football League came to not a completion last week. We got 2 games today. That's why we don't have a crazy thing that coaches say, but Jay Morgan will have that tomorrow. And I'm going to be off the next couple of days. Jay Morgan and Brian Dacus are going to sit in and absolutely fill this seat. So I look forward to I can listen on the app in Hawaii, maybe. But I'm not getting up that early. That's why I'm not doing the show.
Oh, you don't want to get up that early?
No,
listen
but
to Brian tonight?
I'll listen. They're all archived. I'll listen.
Exactly.
I'll listen. I promise. This is the longest week ever, I think.
Oh, it has to be.
Isn't that a record?
Oh, 6 days? I can't imagine.
Well, it started Thursday. You had games on Saturday. You got games on Sunday. You had your usual game on Monday, but you had 2 on Monday, and now you got 2 on Tuesday. And that's the weird thing is that they're both played at the same time.
Yeah, and they're both Fox games, so each local affiliate had to choose which game it was going to broadcast, and everyone just misses out on one of them.
Which one did Memphis take?
I'm assuming it's Washington and the Eagles, but I'll look it up right now.
No, I think I can look that up right here real quick.
Because the other one is Seahawks and Rams, and that's West Coast. So I would imagine if they were picking for us, it would be Washington Eagles, especially with all the Cowboys fans here in town. Everyone's concerned about the NFC East.
Eagles and Washington.
Yeah.
You're spot on that.
6.5-point favorites, the Eagles. That's a lot of points for a division.
I think I'd rather have that game.
Yeah, so would I. Well, I like the Rams too, but Washington's been playing good football. It'll be a good game, and Jalen Hurts is supposed to start too instead of Gardner Minshew, which I'm a little disappointed about.
I think the Rams are going to want to run away from Seattle tonight.
The Eagles are my last lock of the week too, so I'll be watching that game pretty intently.
Oh yeah. We're doing 3 more locks here in just a second, so everybody knows. And we're going to talk a lot of NFL coming up in the next segment, as we always do with Jeff Moore. We're not exactly wrapping up the week, but we are going to sort of go over the week. And after the game last night, both coaches, actually all week long, coaches have really criticized the officiating in the NFL. And the Bears had some bad calls against them. Even the NFL said a few. The Bears are just being picked on. Now, maybe I feel that way because, I've been a Bear fan since I was 5 years old. I go back to 58, for goodness sake. I went to games in 63. They wouldn't let me go to the championship game because it was too cold. But I was a huge fan of 1963 in frigid Wrigley Field, for goodness sake. So I'm probably biased. But, man, the Bears have gotten the raw end of the deal on a bunch of calls. This game last night, the game in Pittsburgh, 3 calls were so bad the NFL had to apologize.
The Pittsburgh game was one of the worst, I think, all year.
So, but it's not just Matt Nagy who's complaining. I mean, officiating around the league, according to coaches, has not been good. So we'll get Jeff Moore, who's very objective about this stuff, to weigh in on if there is poor refereeing this particular season in the National Football League. Finally, the non-vaccine ramifications still swirling around again. Rick Barnes took his shot, and he makes a good case. If Memphis doesn't have vaccinated players, why would you take a chance on this happening again, right? I thought he was silly to be really upset with the decision not to play the game when you had people in contract tracing, because if they had given any of his players COVID, he would have been livid. and rightfully so. So I think once the protocol thing was set, that Penny did the right thing there. But Penny not being forthcoming about the amount of people being vaccinated, that is a problem, and that is a problem that continues. Now, the university did put out a statement today, which I will read to you, because they are trying to be as transparent about this as they can possibly be. So I'm going to read it verbatim here. The Tiger basketball team anticipates resuming basketball activities on Monday, December the 27th, barring additional positive COVID-19 tests. Eli just had Cody Toppert on, and he talked about, that's the plan, resuming things on Monday, provided everything goes good. And I love Cody's response. He said, I've sent a bunch of letters to Santa to make sure that is the present I get for Christmas. The statement goes on, the athletic department and men's basketball program have and will continue to provide education regarding vaccines and the implications of not being vaccinated, as is done with all sports programs, including holding a virtual session as recently as Sunday afternoon with men's basketball players and families. Now, I get that because, like Rick Barnes stated yesterday, who's going to want to play Memphis if they are afraid they're all unvaccinated and could give their team COVID? Makes sense to me on that. While a majority, then it goes on to say, while a majority of the men's roster is vaccinated, the combination of players redshirting, current injuries, positive tests, and contract tracing among the unvaccinated members of the team left the program unable to field a team for Saturday's game. We were told only 4. So I don't know. This is a little confusing to me because they said only 4 players would have been made available. The team has 18 guys. Majority would be 10. And there were only 4. Now, maybe that includes the coaching staff, the trainers, the managers to make up that majority, because they said only 4 players would have been available. We're all putting 2 and 2 together that says, well, there's only 4 vaccinated, right? That's what we're thinking. So this is a little confusing. But that's what they said.
And the 2 that tested positive are vaccinated too, right? So it would be 6 vaccinated. Didn't Penny say that the 2 that tested positive?
I don't remember that.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
I don't remember. That could be right. I just know that he identified the 2 that had the symptoms and that were positive were Nolly and Harris. I don't know if he had ever stated in that whether they had been vaccinated or not. There are breakthrough cases.
Right.
We know that. We also know, science shows it, I saw it on NBC last night with the graph of percentages, that if you are vaccinated, especially with a booster, you're not going to get really sick or die. That's pretty scientific positive.
All the more reason to get vaccinated.
That's not opinion. That's fact. All right. So this goes on to say majority of the team's roster is vaccinated.
That's the roster then.
Right.
Yeah, so it has to be players.
That's 18. So that, again, I don't understand that because only 4 were available. Maybe 4 were not in the room with the contact tracing. So it's confusing. I wish they were a little bit more clear on all of that. It goes on to say, and I'll finish this, we will do all we can to avoid the extreme disappointment of further cancellations while we continue to follow all standard protocols and maintain the health and safety of our players and opponents as our utmost concern. So they're going to try to practice on Monday because that apparently is the time that is needed to end as long as everybody's positive tested. And then they would play on the 29th in New Orleans. Come home and then catch a plane New Year's Eve day and head to Wichita to play Wichita State on New Year's Day at 11 a.m. if all of that comes out the way we hope it will. So that is the statement from the University of Memphis regarding an update on that. We'll talk about COVID and a whole bunch of stuff college basketball-wise with Mike DeCourcy, and that will come your way at 10:42 or somewhere in that ballpark. So I guess it's up to players' parents, right? Isn't that the bottom line here.
And the players themselves.
And I like the fact that they did have a virtual meeting, a Zoom meeting probably, with all the players on Sunday and with as many parents as would come on. And they had to explain to them, we're going to try to make these 2 games up. We're going to try to reschedule with Alabama State or somebody. And we're really going to try to get a quad 1 game because I heard Cody mention to Eli that a quad 1 game is an important game. And it really is because, Memphis, there's only 5 schools at this point with 3 quad 1 wins. Memphis had a chance to be the 6th on Saturday. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It's very clear that, and I said this yesterday, that Tennessee's not playing Memphis this year. For one, they don't have the time. 2, he doesn't want to play. 3, now he's got justification because Memphis doesn't have enough vaccinated players at this point. So I'm sure that point was clearly made in that meeting to the parents. We can't make your son get his vaccine, but we're going to have a problem all year long if we don't. So this is not just for science sake. This is for everybody's sake, for the team. Get the shot. Take a shot for the team.
Take a shot for the shot. I don't know if that's right or not. But I know this is probably not and I understand totally why you want a quad 1 win, why it's important for the committee's sake. But I'm in the camp, you got to focus on your league when you get in league play. I always love those Gonzaga games. Those should be in like February or January and stuff like that, which is great for fans. It's great for fan support. It's an exciting game that everybody's excited about. But I think your league is really pretty good this year, certainly better than Gonzaga's and teams like that. I think you really got to focus on winning your league if you're Memphis at this point. I wouldn't worry about scheduling another game during conference play.
I'm going to disagree with you.
No, that's fine. I understand.
I think I love that late February game where you get a little break from what you've been concentrating on, and you're almost at the end of it, and you're going to have a tournament, and everybody knows everybody. And if you need a little boost, a little motivation, a little national spotlight, another chance to make your case to that committee because that committee's meeting in 2 weeks. I love that slot for a quad 1 opportunity. I wish Mark Few and Gonzaga would play Memphis again. That would be a great home and home. We had it for a number of years. It started with Cal. It went through Josh. Cal would never play in the kennel. Josh agreed to, and that was the first time Memphis lost in Spokane, was when you had to play in the kennel. But I love it. Play a home and home. I am. So many people love these neutrals. I know you're a guy who loves the neutrals.
Only in state. Gonzaga, I think, would be a good home and home.
I think neutral games are robbing the fans. The atmosphere at home is beautiful, and if it's split 1 year my place, 1 year in yours, that's fair. And don't give me this Tennessee should be able to make the call because they're the bigger. So they don't have a better history or tradition of basketball. Why are they the ones that get to make that call? It's just, that bothers me. It really does. And I know that's going to bother some of the elitists that think Power 5 should control everything. Tennessee's not a better legacy tradition with basketball than Memphis. They haven't made 3 Final Fours. I'm sorry.
I don't even think they've made a Final Four, have they? I don't think they have.
I'm not sure. They've both been number ones.
It would have to be Bernie and Ernie that made it, if anybody did.
Yeah, well, Bernie and Ernie went a ways. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that one. I just don't think neutrals are great for the hometown fans. Look, if that's the way Tennessee wants to play it and we have a game every year in Nashville, okay. I'd be okay with that because the Nashville trip was kind of cool. And I think our fans would have really showed up if the tickets are pretty well split. Now, Tennessee's got a natural advantage because there's so many alums in Nashville. But, okay, I'll live with that. But Rick Barnes doesn't even want to play that. He didn't want to play Memphis, bottom line. But if you're going to find a quad 1 game in February to make up for that will help your resume, it would help to say, for Penny to come out and be able to say in 3 weeks or a month, oh, by the way, 80% of my team is now vaccinated.
I think that would certainly help. Not for Tennessee, per se, but I think it would certainly help in getting another
they're
game.
not getting Tennessee. Tennessee's not playing.
That door is closed.
That door's done.
Also, they have never made a Final Four.
I didn't think they did. I did not think they did. This portion of the show brought to you by Family Leisure. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure studios, and I do want to remind everybody, please get there. Maybe today. I don't want you not to get your stuff delivered in time, and I'm not even sure if it's too late. So please, please, please go see Billy, go see Lindsay, go get these arcades because they're up to 25% off. Air hockey and foosball with a price I can't believe it's under $150. They've also got good deals on hot tubs and saunas, and the trampolines are 20% off. What kid wouldn't want a trampoline for Christmas? Are you kidding me? Get there and get that thing delivered before Santa gets to your house. That's Family Leisure, I-40 and Whedon Road. And this portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. He's the guy to talk to if you want to renovate your old house because you love your location, but you want modern amenities. You want the granite countertops. You want the California closets. You want the wireless speakers in the walls. You want a video room. I get that. And he can do that because he knows how to make your old home a modern palace. I call it renovation with innovation. Or if you're looking for land for the dream home, he's got it. If you aren't sure how to utilize maybe some land you've had in your family for years, now you're ready for the dream home, he knows exactly what to do. Call. It's that simple, 751-1632. If you want to know a little bit more, go to kengarland.com. See what they've done in 2 generations all over the Memphis area. And then again, call 751-1632. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We talk NFL with Jeff Moore in just a minute.
Former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn joins Brett Norsworthy for Sports Time on Sports 56, presented by Lexus of Memphis. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno-country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
So this was going to be one of those central barbecue spots where I encourage everybody to get ribs for people as stocking stuffers. But? Well, I was listening to your show.
Oh, really?
Sure, I listen every day, seething with jealousy. But I heard one of your spots that had the code word big head.
Yeah, that's right.
I always thought you were probably sensitive about the big head thing.
No. I accept that I have a big head.
Huge.
Maybe we should just get back to Central Barbecue.
Well, I'm going to get back to the whole central barbecue makes a perfect holiday gift. But seriously, look at that pumpkin.
Let's just...
I mean, that thing could have its own weather system.
Okay, we get it. Let's get back to...
I know. Central Barbecue gift cards are a great stocking stuffer. How the hell do you even buy hats?
I don't.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. We talked with our friend Jeff Moore to not complete Week 15, but just to talk about what's happened in Week 15, because we got a couple of games that take place this evening at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I think, Memphis time, on Fox. It's brought to you, our discussion with Jeff, by the good folks at Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and they want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And they know it's not always the right time for heating, cooling, or electrical problems. So this holiday season, if you find yourself in need of any of their services, no. Conway's ready to serve with financing options that are available. And during this cold month of December, Conway's offering the year-end heating system closeout for as low as $79 a month. You can get new technology for as low as $79 a month. And if that's not enough, how about an April air cleaner, a free programmable thermostat, and a 10-year parts warranty, all included in the package for $79 a month. And you're always going to get the Conway award-winning service every time you make this call. 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Jeff Moore, last night, both the Bears coach and the Minnesota coach complained about the officiating. That seems to be a theme this week. So let me start there. You're more objective than I am, especially when it comes to the Bears. And the Bears, even the league, apologized for what happened to Chicago and Pittsburgh. Is this a year where officiating is just having a rough time?
I think that's fair. I mean, you're going to have periods like that. They're human, and even with replay, there are mistakes. It still gets down to when it's a close game, close play, some subjectivity. But yeah, I mean, the refs are going to miss it sometimes. Thank goodness, that the majority of the time they get it right, but they're going to get it wrong every now and then. And you can complain, but when you go back through just about any game, it gets down to more than just one play as to why a team loses or wins. And you just have to factor that in and put your best play on the field and go forward. You're going to have referees that make mistakes. That can't be an excuse.
In the meantime, the Bears defense, if they had any kind of offense that wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers, like 3 of them, or even a special teams, a muffed punt, a blocked field goal, or, frankly, all those penalties, 8 penalties, which seems to make you think it's not a well-coached team. But I was pretty impressed. The Bears had actually 200 yards more than Minnesota. They held the Vikings to 193 total yards. They held Kirk Cousins to 61 passing yards. That's unbelievable. It still lost the game.
It is unbelievable. I think the Bears have a lot to build on. I love what I'm seeing in Justin Fields, the way he's continuing to develop. He's having a tough year physically, but he's shown that he's a tough guy. He's a heady guy. He can make all the throws. I think when they get the right staff in there and a little more help, offensively in their running game as well, they're going to be a respectable team, and they've got a lot to build on. And their defense, absolutely, to shut down this Minnesota offense, which has been playing fairly well, that says a lot for this team going forward. And the fact that they still come out and compete says a lot going forward. So, I like what I'm seeing. Even though they're struggling, I think the Bears have a lot to be optimistic about.
That was the second game last night, and that was a thriller, and Bears, kept it interesting. The Raiders and the Browns was really terrific. 16-14 Raiders end up driving. Who would believe, if I said to you, what quarterback in this era has the most game-winning drives to end games? Would you say Derek Carr, who had his 28th game-winning drive yesterday?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's a quarterback that I think has kind of flown under the radar for the last couple of years. I like Derek Carr as a quarterback. He's just not been able to get the complementary pieces consistently to really be able to shine as a quarterback the way I think he could. But yeah, I mean, I thought, especially given the fact that he had thrown a pick, the series before, for him to come out and get focused and get his team in a position to kick a field goal was pretty heady play by Derek Carr.
And I love the Nick Mullins story, too, because he actually drove the team down to score, to take a lead in the game. And it was the Cleveland defense that actually let the Browns down, not the offense without Mayfield or Keenum. I mean, here's a guy just signed on Thursday, and he played pretty darn good.
I thought he played well. I was really surprised at how poised he was. The throws that he made, the throws that he made under adversity were very impressive. And yeah, he played well. That was a great performance by a player who had not been on the field for a long period of time.
Today, 2 games. It's weird. We usually have put a bow on the week, but we got 2 games today. You got the Rams in Seattle. You got Philly and Washington. We're getting the Philly-Washington game here on the local Fox station. What's your sense of those 2 games?
I think the Washington game is really going to be a good game. I like I think the Washington team is trending upward. I think they're a team that plays well physically. They have a really conservative offense that doesn't do a lot of big plays, but they don't turn the ball over, and they're very competitive. And I like them in that game. I think it'll be a very physical game, of course, with them being division opponents. They always play each other tough. And then, of course, the Rams, they need to win this game to continue to kind of keep that offense moving in the right direction. They're starting to get OBJ more involved in that offense. He's showing what kind of weapon he can be. Mm-hmm. And of course, you've got a lot of teams. I mean, they need this win to continue to compete for a good seed in the NFC. They'll be 10-4 if they can win it. And it's going to be really competitive down the stretch in the NFC, I think.
I agree. I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Although we'll talk to you before the New Year. We'll talk next week, but have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you, Dave. Take care.
That is our friend, Jeff Moore, former Ram, and that is going to be a good game today. You know what we forgot to do? We got to do this really quick. We forgot to do our locks, so I'm going to give them real quick. I like San Diego State. Giving away 2.5 to Texas San Antonio. They're good against the run, and all they got to do is stop Sincere McCormick, and they will win the game. I like the Rams tonight. -7 against Seattle. I think the Rams, like he just said, they need this game. I think they'll win this game. And then, I've been accused of a homer on the AutoZone text line today a couple times. I can live with that. But I'll be a Memphis homer for the football team, too. When you don't have your starting quarterback or your starting running back, I think you've got a problem. I really do. I don't think their team likes their coach. I think Memphis team does like their coach. I hope they focus because they're enjoying a long time in Hawaii. I hope they focus. I think they will. I'll give 8.5 away. That's the line. Give me the Tigers over the Rainbow Warriors.
I'm going to go head-to-head with you. I'm going to take UTSA +3 against San Diego State.
Okay.
I'm going to take Kent State +3 against Wyoming today as well. Don't know a lot about that, but I like Kent State for some reason.
Okay.
And I'm also going to take the Tigers.
Okay. That's all right. So we got one we're both pulling for. Very, very good. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will talk with Mike DeCourcy. This portion of the show brought to you by Old Dominick. They're going to be cheering for the Tigers, I promise you, because they're proud partners of the U of M, right in the heart of downtown. Old Dominick offers full distillery tours, curated tastings, craft cocktails. Go try an old-fashioned there. All under the guidance, because they're using their bourbon in this deal. And Alex Castle is the master distiller. She's special. She wins awards all the time. She's great. They got other craft cocktails, all using the Old Dominick products, which, by the way, if you can't get downtown, you can find them in your favorite places like the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. And this might be a nice little thing. You can find some limited edition bottles of Old Dominick that make a very nice Christmas present. Just saying. Old Dominick, downtown on Front Street. Back in a second, we head to Indy, and our friend Mike DeCourcy, he's right around the corner.
This is your buddy Johnny Radio wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And don't forget to join me for Happy Hour, 11 to 1, Monday through Friday, right here on Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Now at Banana Republic Factory, 50 to 70% off everything. Discover winter essentials, holiday party looks, last-minute gifts, and more from $14.99. Find your nearest store or shop online. Only at Banana Republic Factory.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa needs a new set of wheels, and he's going to Sunrise Chevy Buick GMC. Sunrise has hundreds of new and used cars and trucks. Ho, 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 ho. This time of the year, Santa's a little strapped for cash, but Sunrise has financing with no money down on approved credit. Sunrise has financing for everyone and specializes in secondary credit. The home of guaranteed credit approval. That's good, because feeding all these elves, Santa's credit's not so hot. Ho, 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 ho. A $4 million used car inventory. Find new roads. SunriseMemphis.com. 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Ho, 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 ho.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Cruising through on this very first day of winter. We head to Indy. It's probably colder up there than it is here right now. And Mike DeCourcy, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, he's brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Team. And I love talking about Matt because I think Matt does it the right way when it comes to protecting you or your family. He gets to know you. Then he figures out what your needs are, what your budget is, and voila, he marries that with access to all the leading companies in the business to find what is perfect that fits you for home insurance, an auto program, commercial insurance if you got a mid-sized or small business, or even life insurance. And he's got you covered with so many different people. So Matt's or anybody from the team. Could be Grant, Andrew, or Keith. They'll get to know you, and then they'll make it perfect for you. All you got to do is make the call, and that number is simple. It's 901-386-GER, because they're big Tiger fans. That's 4777 901-386-GER to get protected the right way with the Eflin Insurance Team. So to Indy we go, and obviously, Mike, around here there is a lot swirling about the cancellation of the Memphis and Tennessee game, COVID, what you can do about COVID. And Memphis, look, Memphis was one of 5 American Athletic Conference teams that canceled games on Saturday. Kentucky and Louisville canceled or postponed, at least at the moment, because of COVID. This is a problem that is now all throughout, not just college basketball, but all the sports.
Well, absolutely. I do think that the problems that were specific to Memphis were the what's the word I'm looking for? The disparities between what we were originally led to believe regarding the Tigers' vaccination level and what it appeared to be when they had to withdraw from the Tennessee game. I think that's where the concern is, and not because it's impossible to have a breakthrough. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Omicron is more adept at creating breakthrough cases than prior variants of the COVID virus. But the fact that, from what I read, that basically Memphis had to withdraw as much because of contact tracing as because of positive tests. And they are going to be, I got a release this morning and I'm sure you've shared it with your readers, that for anybody who's just joining because they came to hear Mike DeCourcy.
Yes. And we got a bunch of those, Mike. Come on now.
I will just say that they are going to be able to resume activity on Monday, which is great news. If presuming everything stays as it is now, and that's our fondest hope. And I hope the Tigers are able to get a game that would be at least a somewhat suitable replacement if they're able to arrange something at a hole in their schedule that would cover for the Tennessee game. I know they're not going to probably get a team quite as good as Tennessee. That would take great fortune.
Yeah, well.
Because there's only so many. But let's hope that they can get something that helps. And also, I hope this episode, maybe leads some of the players who have resisted to this point to understand, that getting vaccinated is the best circumstance for everyone involved. And so I hope this leads more of the players and their families to understand that vaccination is a wise choice, especially in the environment that they're in.
In that statement, by the way, it did say that they met with parents on a virtual Zoom and players with parents, because in the end, it's the families that are going to end up really being the motivating factors for a kid if he's hesitant to go and to get the vaccine. Now, you can prompt them as hard as you can by saying, look, we're going to have a problem making up that game if people are afraid. And Rick Barnes reiterated that point yesterday in Knoxville, that why would I play a team that's not vaccinated, right?
Because there's the risk of actually being on the floor, but even more so, there's this risk, which is I agree to the game, I carve out another hole in my schedule, and boom, the game goes away again.
Right. And
so
those are legit concerns. I'm 100% on board with that. The thing is, the motivation can come from coaches, but in the end, the bottom line is what the parents do with the kid, right?
Yeah, I think that I think that the parents have a huge voice in this. But these players are also young men, adults that can make their choice. I know a person who has been hesitant, resistant, refusal, whatever the verb you want to use, and yet most of her children are vaccinated, except for the youngest. So and she has 6. So they've made their own choices, and so the athletes can, if they wish to do that. But if they get encouragement from their coaches and their parents, then perhaps they'll be more likely to do so.
We did get a texter on the AutoZone text line, get in the zone, AutoZone, that basically said that Tyler Harris had been vaccinated, so this was a breakthrough case, which, as you mentioned earlier, Omicron is capable of doing that. But I want to just step out and say, and again, I'll repeat this because I said it earlier, the facts come from NBC, and these are facts that come from the health department, the CDC, and it's clear that if you take the shot and a booster, your chances of really getting sick, and I don't think Tyler Harris really got sick, although he didn't feel good. That's what prompted the test. But the chances of becoming really sick or dying are just about nil, infinitesimal. Right. In order for you for that to occur. So it just makes sense to do it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've spent more time in the last 11 months talking about this on sports radio shows than I ever expected that I would.
Yeah.
But I can't, I've had both shots and the third, and really, other than a sore arm on the third shot, really had no real repercussions from it. As a matter of fact, I got both of my shots, the first 2 shots, in March, and people said, "Well, were you tired?" And I said, "It was March. I'm always tired." So it doesn't really. I'm not sure how tough it's all. Hey, all I know is I got my second shot in the morning, and then I went and covered 2 Elite 8 games that night. So I think I was all right.
Well, our path is almost identical, honestly, because I got my first at the end of February, my second in the middle of March, and then I got my booster October the 25th. I'm reading my card right now. And the only thing that I had was the third shot. My arm did feel sore for about 2 or 3 days, and that's it. And now I feel the sense of comfort, and also, I feel like I did my part to help society because I'm not going to spread it to anybody. And I think that's another big part of it.
Absolutely, and I think it. I have been able to feel much more comfort in the last, I guess what now we're up to about 8 months than I did before. Which isn't to say that I just go around and lick telephone poles and stuff. I mean, I'm still careful. I still wear a mask when I go to the grocery store and that sort of thing. But I've been able to do things in the last 8 months that I wasn't able to do from March 2020 to February 2021, and so I know that this is for 21-year-olds. They're not that concerned about getting seriously ill because not that many have, but it goes beyond that. It goes to what you do in the community with coaches, with family members, with people you encounter, and being able to. And honestly, it goes all the way back to being able to play a basketball game you were really excited to play. And it didn't happen because of this circumstance.
And one you really needed to play because you need a quad one win to spice up the resume with the 4 losses that you had, which are not really great losses.
Right.
Unless Georgia, Ole Miss, and Murray State go crazy. These are bad losses in the end.
Because Georgia's not going to do that. I mean, they've gotten a little better since the Tigers game. They've won here and there, but they're not going to. I mean, the SEC is too strong for what Georgia's got. Ole Miss does not seem to be trending in that direction, and so Murray may go on out and they're going to have a tough time with Belmont, but they may go out and win the OBC, and that won't look that bad. But it's still a home loss to a team that's probably going to beat quad 3-ish. So they have to dominate in the AAC. I don't say they have to dominate the AAC because that may be Houston's job, but they have to dominate in the AAC, and they're going to have to get at least one of the Houston games to feel like an at-large bid is out there for them.
Okay, that is where I was going to go. So they have 2 quad 1 wins right now. You can't take those away, right?
Right.
Virginia Tech, which, by the way, is also receiving votes in the top 25. I don't think they're a great team, but I'm pulling for them. And then the Alabama win. So those are 2 quad 1 wins. So if, let's just say, because Memphis does have a little slot, February, I believe it's the 12th through the 20th. There's 8 days in there where they don't have a conference game. That's the old slot they used to use to play Gonzaga in, which I love that slot. I really do. So they have that slot. If they could find a quad 1 win, that would be great. Let's say they don't. And I think they're going to try. But if they didn't, if they finish second and they split with Houston, you think that's enough to get in?
It depends on the nature of the second. Because if you look at the AAC right now, it pretty much looks like the Tigers and the Cougars. And am I missing anybody? Because I don't think I am.
Throw in Wichita State, maybe?
Yeah, Wichita. I mean, Wichita's losing at home to Kansas State, which is probably going to finish 8th in the Big 12. Maybe they, maybe. Certainly you want to play well. I don't know how many games Tigers have against Wichita, but I think they're going to want to win those.
I think they got them both, 2 games.
Okay, so yeah, they're going to want to sweep Wichita. When I say that, I think they're better off sweeping Wichita and stumbling once just because they take their eye off the ball somewhere like East Carolina or whatever. People have done that before.
Yeah,
but I think I think they really need to be a dominant team in the league. Win all of your home games, win nearly all of your road games. That's and look, if they're that good if they're the team that played Alabama, they'll do that. If they play the rest of their schedule like they played Alabama, they'll do those things. They'll have a day off, an off day, I should say, here and there, but they'll win some of those. And if they slip once or twice, it's not going to be. It's not going to keep them out. I mean, if they finish winning better than 80% of their conference games, they're probably going to make it. But you got to go out there and do that, and that is not easy to do because although this is not going to be a prime year for that league, it's still a highly competitive league.
And they can't have any more COVID leagues because the next time it'll be a forfeit. If it's a league game, it'll be a forfeit. So they have to take care of business that way for sure. All right, you've written a story on the NCAA, actually the IARP, which was pretty lenient with North Carolina State. There was another column that was written that I thought was good. I think it was Jeff Goodman on basically how Auburn and Bruce Pearl got away with murder again. The NCAA being rather lenient. Is that a good thing as Memphis sees it? Because I'm shocked that the IARP made the decision on NC State before Memphis because Memphis was the first case before them.
Yeah, Memphis's case came out later, though, and they had to do more original reporting, so to speak, because much of the case that on NC State carried over from the Justice Department's investigation. So I think they had to do more of their own groundwork on the Tigers, and so that's part of it. But I have to look at that as positive for Memphis because remember that James was only a member of the program for officially for like 3 months and only played in 3 games. I think
three games. That is it.
And they went 2-1 in those games, so they may make the Tigers vacate the 2 wins. I don't think that's going to have a huge impact on the team or the program.
We're used to vacating now.
I didn't make that joke.
We did 38 of those in 2008.
I think it has to be viewed as good news because they did not hit NC State with anything that will encumber their program. Nothing. Literally nothing will affect them going forward. Now, the one difference between the 2 cases, aside from the facts of the case, is that the head coach that is in place now at Memphis was the head coach when these charges developed, as opposed to NC State, which had moved on 5 seasons ago from the coach who was in position when those violations were alleged. So that's the one difference. But I just, I never thought that there was a very strong case really in this anyway. I mean, in terms of like James Wiseman himself and his participation, I thought there were things that had to be dealt with. But in terms of anything else, I never really thought there was a really strong case against the Tigers, and I never really understood why it needed to go to the complex case unit because I didn't think it was that complex.
Really, so, the punishment was he didn't want to face the punishment they'd already given him of 9 games, and they lost him. I mean, the kid never played again. That was, to me, that's punishment in its own right. But I don't think that they see that.
Yeah, it was an enormous punishment for everybody involved, for James and for the Tigers for sure. And I thought that. I thought that in terms of adding the extra games onto him, I thought that was reasonable because they had fought it, or he had fought it, and they had acquiesced. So I thought that was fair, but I'm not sure what there is beyond that. I really am. And I've covered a lot of these, so I don't know what could come out of this that would be problematic for Memphis, or what should come out of it that would be problematic.
I'm with you. And I hope that is the case. I wish you and Debbie the greatest, happiest, merriest of Christmases. I'm not going to wish you New Year yet because I'm going to talk to you next week. I hope.
Bet.
And so enjoy family. And I'm sure there'll be more controversy by the time we speak again
Let's hope
next
just a
week.
couple of games or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Happy holidays to you and all my friends in Memphis. It's a place that still is very dear to my heart, as everyone knows, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week.
We appreciate it. That is Mike DeCourcy, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. We also thank Jeff Moore. Merry Christmas, Jay Morgan, to you and your family and the Crakers. I love those guys. They're all good people. I'm gone for a couple of days, but don't go anywhere, guys, because we got Jay Morgan and Bryant. They're going to fill in. Give them your attention. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Action247.com is your